A massive Jays trade is incoming as following what has been a massive stretch of games for the Toronto Blue Jays, and they're entering their biggest stretch of the season. Ross Atkins has broken the silence and revealed a huge Jays trade update, not only revealing that moves are coming, but revealed some very interesting trade chips that they are going to be using in the coming days and weeks. We're going to break that down as well as discuss some interesting updates overall and new reports surrounding the Jays trade targets. But we also have major injury updates following what was an injury-riddled game yesterday, updates on Springer, updates on Bichette, and of course an update on Max Scherzer that is very, very interesting to say the least. But folks, before we get into it all, if you're a part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, you guys have been absolute beasts with the support, so make sure to hit that subscribe button. Your guys' support has been absolutely unbelievable as we approach the goal of 20,000 subscribers. Folks, a lot to go over today. The Jays are coming off of a massive win. There's no other words to use, just a huge win. Happy Canada Day as well to everyone who lives in Canada or celebrates. It's going to be a great day. Hopefully the Jays can take care of business against the Yankees and at least guarantee themselves a split. But we know, based on the lineup, both today and yesterday, what I presume is going to be the lineup today, against lefties, the Jays need reinforcements. We've been talking a lot here on the channel about specifically, of course, starting pitching. We're going to be transitioning now, based on what Ross Atkins said, to, of course, the hitting side. So Ross Atkins says the Jays have been looking to add a right-handed bat. Pitching depth sounds like another priority ahead of the deadline. We've had plenty of videos on pitching. We're going to, of course, have more in the future. He adds that the Jays have had ownership support financially all along and that they should be able to continue to flex that muscle. And he basically goes on to say that they are looking for a right-handed hitter who mashes lefties. Because you look at the lineup that we saw yesterday, we saw multiple left-handed hitters in the lineup. Barger, who of course deserves it, but guys like Will Wagner, and the lineup against lefties doesn't look great right now, and they're truly missing another right-handed masher who can hit against lefties, but also, of course, still hit against righties as well. And that's the big thing they are missing at this juncture of the season. And Ross Atkins seems to think that that's going to be a number one priority for them. And he goes on to say, if there's something that presents itself regarding a trade that makes a lot of sense for a short term and long term, I would expect us to have the ability to be a powerful organization. And it's good to be back at the trade deadline where the Jays are actually going to be making moves here. I mean, all signs point to them making some huge moves, right? And at this point, something big is coming. And I think for this Toronto Blue Jays team, with Ross Atkins being in the last year of their deal, Mark Shapiro, John Schneider, and a lot of guys like that, they're at a point now where this is kind of the all-in year for them. And the Jays have positioned themselves 8 games above 500 now. And as we inch closer and closer, we're less than a month away from the trade deadline, around a month away. Exactly, actually. A month away. You're going to be at a point where you need to, if you're Ross Atkins, flex that muscle you're talking about, make big trades, make big moves, and this is fantastic news also, just to backtrack a little bit here. We all know by watching they need another batter. I was worried if they were going to say we have reinforcements coming with Dalton Varsho and Anthony Santander. They're aware that they need another hitter regardless of what happens down there with the injured players. And that's a very encouraging sign. And he goes on to say that circumstances are particularly fluid across the majors at this time of year, according to Shadavidi. And while the Blue Jays may not have a top farm system like contenders such as the Tigers, the Rays, the Dodgers, the Mariners, and the Cubs, Atkins believed that we have an incredible amount of outfield depth in the major leagues and in AAA. Notably, he said the upper level position player group is where we've had a lot of teams reach out to us. So that's a pretty big tidbit here. This screams a few different prospects, which we'll dive into here, but this is very notable. We're going to dive into a target here in a minute, but this screams to me guys like Alan Roden, guys like Joey Loperfido, and guys similar to that, because the Jays, and I've been talking about it in a while, they have so many AAA, quad A guys that you're at a point now where you almost need to go ahead and actually move off of one of them, because you're not going to have room for all these guys. And at this point, you don't even have room for Joey Loperfido right now. And you can see there was an interesting, response to the tweet. This screams Loperfido, Roden, RJ Schreck, Yohendro Panago, or Jonathan Clase. And I think that two of these guys are going to get traded. I think Loperfido makes the most sense. He has a lot of upside. They got him in the Kikuchi deal last year. And teams are reaching out to the club about them. Now, you pair that with the fact that, they want to add a right-handed bat. There's some names that come to mind. And, one name in particular has been floated around a fair bit, around Jays land, and it is Eugenio Suarez. And we're going to be diving into that today because he is an unbelievable, masher. And there is going to be a ton of teams knocking on that door trying to acquire Eugenio Suarez, right? There's just no doubt about it, just because of how good he is and how good of a season he's having. Folks, he has 25 home runs in. He's on track for 50 home runs. The Jays, if they want to grab him, have an abundance of assets they can grab. Now, do they have the top tier talent that some of the other teams have? No. But the Jays, they don't. And again, there's a lot of options they could go for. They could go for who I covered a few weeks ago, Taylor Ward. They could go for a lot of different guys. But I think Eugenio Suarez would be kind of the ideal fit. He mashes lefties, he mashes righties. You could play him every day at third base, and then you kind of platoon Ernie Clement and Andres Jimenez at second and kind of just go from there and have Addison Barger as a permanent right fielder. And then maybe against, of course, left-handed pitching, you have David Schneider in right field, or maybe even throw, Ernie Clement out there because I believe he played a bit of that last year, the outfield of some sort. So there's ways you make it work, but even if Santander comes back, things like that, having Suarez and Santander in the lineup, even just adding one more powerful bat in this lineup would stretch it out so much against lefties. And you're going up against teams in the AL East who have a lot of lefties, specifically the Yankees. Max Fried, Carlos Rodon, they're two aces, especially Max Fried. We'll see how they go up against them today. You can rely on, the lineup you have and the next man up mentality, but you need more players and you need more, just assets and tools if you want to try to win the AL East, with the Jays are only 2 games back of at this moment following yesterday's huge win. So it's going to be interesting. And let me know down below what your thoughts are on this. I would assume Joey Loperfido is the number 1 trade chip that's being called about. Alan Rodon, RJ Schreck, Panago, all those guys. It's going to be interesting to see. Let me know down below what your thoughts are on that. And Eugenio Suarez, and out of all these guys, who would you prefer the Jays go after? But it's clear Ross Atkins dropped a bombshell there, and I think a big move is on the horizon. Folks, let's dive into a few other updates now. Of course, yesterday I made my post-game video and I said a lot of injury updates were going to come out. They did. So John Schneider said the Blue Jays will monitor Max Scherzer's thumb ahead of his next start. He said the thumb was still kind of fatigued in the 5th inning, leading to his exit after 71 pitches, but Schneider loved what he saw from Scherzer on the mound against New York. So still dealing with the thumb issue. The good news is, based off the phrasing they were using, it's probably nothing that's going to stop him from making his next start, but it is still something that you have to watch going forward and it has to be monitored, because I don't love, him coming back finally and then having to leave in his, second start back. But it is what it is. He did the job, and I think he's going to be okay. But like Ross Atkins mentioned, they still need to add a starting pitcher as well. And Ross said all the right things for the first time in a very long time. Now, going on George Springer, he is day-to-day. He's going to be in the lineup today on Canada Day, which is very good news. It was just the wind knocked out of him, which is a very good sign. And, of course, could have been a concussion, could have been a lot of different things. He's good. He got smoked in the esophagus, and thank goodness that he's good, right? Thank God he's good. But, I mean, this is just getting a little bit, out of hand. Not necessarily the injuries, but just the amount of injury that this team has had. I mean, we're talking about George Springer, Bo Bichette, Max Scherzer, Jimmy Garcia. Garcia is going to be coming back, soon as well here. And one quick update on Bo Bichette as well, which is very intriguing, is he is going to be, in all likelihood, in the lineup today. He stepped on a ball in warmups, taking, ground balls yesterday prior to the game. So I think he rolled the ankle. They said discomfort. So he should be in the lineup today. And again, it's Canada Day. So we assume, based off of, the guys are going to want to play. So Bo Bichette's the big one to watch. Springer should be good. And it's going to be interesting to see who they have in the lineup. You can see this here. It sucks with facing lefties with a 6'9" of Schneider, Straw, Clase, and Wagner isn't ideal. The top of the order is going to need to do damage. This was, of course, about yesterday's game, and there's some more, targets there. However, I'm more focused on the 6 to 9 in tonight's game. Schneider played fantastic. I would assume he's back in there. Same with Miles Straw. Going to be interesting to see what happens with Clase and Wagner. But folks, happy Canada Day. It's going to be interesting. Jimmy Garcia is on the way back here soon. You have a bunch of moves coming. And most importantly, the Jays are in a very good spot going forward. And hopefully they can continue this stretch of play. You guys are beasts. Cheers.